Startup Podcast PH is co-produced by One CFO, Credit Hero, Y Spaces, Tuala, Simp, Sekuna, Schooltech Bedfolio, and Red Circle Global. Check out our partners in the description.
Welcome sa Startup Podcast PH, inspiring more Filipino entrepreneurs and innovators. We're live now in Zoom. Hello. And we have Apogee. Apogee equips entire families, parents and children alike, to think boldly, act bravely, and live free. And we have the COO, Coach Kevin. Hello, Coach Kevin. How are you? Kamusta?
Doing super well. Super well. Thank you.
Yeah, and actually before this recording, we were doing some chit chat. And I learned that you actually go back and forth to the Philippines, or you've been to the Philippines actually, so you know very well the culture. You love the culture. Hopefully later we can talk about that. But of course, we always start this podcast by asking you about the company, about the startup that you're building. You're actually building also here in the Philippines. So let me ask you, Kevin, ano nga ba ang Apogee, or what is Apogee?
Look, Apogee is a return to real education. It's a departure from school and a return to real education, right? So the school system, as we had it in America, as we have it just about everywhere, was built based on the old Prussian system. The old Prussian system, here's why Prussia decided to have the system that they had. When Napoleon attacked Prussia, right? Napoleon came to take over Prussia, and there was an army there to defend the kings and queens of Prussia from Napoleon and his democratic ideas, right? What happened is the Prussian soldiers were very smart. And as they were sitting there in war, they said, hey, wait a second. Actually, this guy wants to free us. Like, if he wins, we're better off, right? Like, this doesn't make sense. And so they had a lot of problems with soldiers who wouldn't fight, or soldiers who really related with the other side because the other side had better ideals. And so the Prussians went back into their heads and said, hey, we need to make a school system. Our school system is making our people too smart. We need people who are smart enough to follow orders, but not so smart that they question orders, right? And so the whole system was designed for control. It was with bells and timing and sitting in rows and things, done by alphabetical order. Does this sound familiar? Because it's the system we all use now, right? So when Rockefeller brought compulsive school into the United States, he based it on that. Why? Because factories need what? They need people who are smart enough to be employees, but not so smart that they start their own companies, right? And so this served us pretty well throughout the Industrial Revolution, right? So, I mean, I'm not going to say it didn't work. It was great. We needed a lot of employees, right? But if you look at the modern world, this doesn't work anymore. I mean, AI just by itself will break this. But the thing is, the modern world, you cannot just be smart enough to be an employee. Like, that's crazy. That's not going to serve you, right? We want the world to be free thinkers. We want the world to be smart enough to start their own thing. I mean, it's so in line with what you do here at Startup Podcast, because we want people to start their own companies. We want people to be who they are and be paid for that. We have our movement, our schools. So we've started over 150 schools throughout the United States, Canada, and even Australia. But our entire team, like almost our entire team, 10 people, are over in the Philippines. We love the Philippines. I grew up in Louisiana. To me, the Philippines is kind of like the Louisiana of Asia. Like, it just fits. Like, the culture is so good. You guys have typhoons. We have hurricanes. You guys have great food. We have great food. You guys really value family and really value holidays, right? Lots of holidays in the Philippines, lots of holidays in Louisiana. So it's just a very good culture fit for us. But we are all about raising up our team to be their own powerful employees. Like, everything that we do at Apogee is about real education, not school, right? Not school, education. So when you look at the founding fathers of, like, the United States, they wrote the Constitution, which is an incredible document, but those people never went to a day of school. They were wildly educated, but they weren't schooled. They didn't get taught to walk in lines and follow. They got taught to think. And they did that by having experiences. They did that by working projects and really being real. So my 11-year-old has a 3D printing business, right? Already. Why? Because he's in an Apogee school and he said, I want to know what it's like to have a business. And so they said, okay, well, what business? Well, 3D printing. So he saved his money from his birthday. He bought a little A1 mini printer. He found a business fair. He printed a whole bunch of Christmas ornaments. And then he made so much money at the fair that he could buy the next big professional machine, right? The big A1S or whatever it's called. And so it's just fun to watch him. He's not learning only from books, but he's actually doing something, and as any entrepreneur knows, there's nothing you're going to learn in a book that'll teach you the first 5 days of being in an actual business for yourself.
Still filling out loan applications for your business? Yeah, thought so. Save your time. Grow your business. With Credit Hero, one online application gets you loan offers from multiple lenders. Apply for a business loan now. Visit credithero.com.
Wow. First of all, it's very bold actually. Like the first words you said, real education. Wow. That's very bold. And actually, you're correct. This is very aligned to start a podcast. Maybe you and I can like we relate more actually with how we started, because like when I started start a podcast, it's kind of the same thing I want to quote unquote change, that Filipinos, or not just Filipinos, more, I mean, like we have, even me, we have the employee mindset. Like we study, we go to school, we study, and then we work as employees. We work in, I don't know, factories, offices, but in fact, we should be educated, or we should learn how to build, how to create. So, somehow, I want to change that from employee mindset to employer mindset, or to builder to creator. Um, yeah, I think we're aligned on that, right? But what's more amazing here is that you're actually building a school. Me, I'm just podcasting, but you're actually building schools, right? You're actually building the system. So how do you do that? How do you maybe in America now, or do you already have it in the Philippines? How do you teach? How do you do that real quote unquote education? How do you execute that basically?
Sure. I mean, look, here's the first thing, right? And I know this will hit home with the Filipino audience, right? The most powerful weapon of the colonizer is the mind of the colonized, right? Is the belief that, oh, you have to follow or you won't be safe. If you did this yourself, you would be in trouble. So you can't do that. You have to follow over here, right? And this is all of us, right? Like, this isn't just about like, I mean, all of us have this mindset of like, well, I have to do this. Otherwise, I'm not safe. And entrepreneurs really quickly learn that if you just do what everyone else is doing, that's a great way to put your business. That's the way to go out of business, right? Because what everyone else is doing isn't worth very much, right? So you have to find that niche. You have to find that. You have to find that way. How did Apogee Strong come to be? Matt Bodrow, who's the CEO here, Tim Kennedy. We're talking and seeing how ill-equipped the school system is. The school system is horrendous for modern life. I mean, look at what's happening in AI, right? When I was young, Johnny, I'll tell you, I remember learning algebra. I was a really smart kid. I skipped the last 2 years of high school, so I started college. I was 15 years old when I went to my first college class, right? And I remember asking the teacher, like, why do I have to memorize all these dumb, like, I have to memorize all this dumb stuff. And it's not that it was dumb, it's just that I had to constantly memorize. And this is what she told me, all right? This is my algebra teacher. Kevin, it's not like you're going to have a calculator in your pocket for the rest of your life. You need to know these things. Now, let me ask you as I hold up my cell phone, do I have a calculator in my pocket? Yes. I have a supercomputer in my pocket that has access to all information from all time. And now with AI, I have a way to make it, synthesize. Like right now, I can have access to that information. So the world has changed. It used to be that knowledge was power. If you knew something, that was powerful. Today, knowledge is cheap. I mean, knowledge is free. You pretty much can get it anywhere. The question is, can you execute on that knowledge? And so Tim and Matt really saw that the current school system was about giving you knowledge, and the way to succeed was in using knowledge. Like, can you actually put it into practice? Right? It's like thinking you could read a book about basketball and be a good player. I mean, at some point you got to get out and shoot balls, and at some point you have to play. And so they reimagined rather than complaining about. Lots of people are complaining about how bad the school system is. And again, it's not. I want to be really careful too. Like, I really want to be careful that I'm talking about the system, not the people in the system. So So inside of the school system are many, many great people who are inspired, who really want to help our kids. But the system itself is set up in such a way that it's not going to help them, because the system assumes that if you have knowledge, then you'll be great. And that isn't true anymore. It used to be true. It's not true anymore. So I wanted to just be really careful. There's so many great educators in the school system, but they're as trapped as everybody else. And so rather than just bitching about the problem, we wanted to create the solution. It's like, well, what would a school that taught someone to be a free thinker be? What would it look like? Right. And so the kids, yes, they still do core academics, right? They still do reading, writing, arithmetic. I mean, there's some things you just need. I tell my son this all the time. The two most important things in your life: can you read, right? And can you do math? Because if you can't read, your life is really going to be hard, right? Because it's just, you won't understand the signs, you won't understand everyone else. When I have, it's funny. When I came I came to the Philippines. I had my 200 most important Tagalog words. I start learning a little bit. I know a tiny, tiny bit of Tagalog. But why? Because if I can't recognize just basic things, I have a problem. If you can't do math, you have a problem, especially as a business person. If you can't do math, you're going to go out of business really, really fast, right? So cool. Those things, yes, we study those every day. There's lots of different ways we do it with worksheets and stuff. And then, though, we give kids projects. We give kids, it's project based learning. So they learn math and they learn arithmetic and reading and writing about something they're interested in. So maybe they want to build a rocket and just see how high they can get a rocket. Awesome. Because guess what? When you learn math and it's like, hey, Johnny, what's 10 times 5? I mean, okay, maybe you remember that. But when it's like, Johnny, you did your calculation wrong, so your rocket blew up on the ground instead of going up. And then you're like, well, wait, why was it wrong? You learn so much. That's how human beings learn. We learn with experience, not just with our minds. And so we built something that allows for that. We built something that allows for exercise. We built something that brings the family in, right? Because here's the thing. Who is the primary educator in the home, right? Like the primary educator of any kid is their parent and family group. And I saw that, I want to say this too. When I was in the Philippines the last time, I saw a lot of multi-generational homes, and I love that. I love that. I love that. Like we don't do that as much here, and we lost something. I told my staff that. I'm like, man, we lost something. You guys are right about this. Like we lost like grandma in the house, or like we just lost that I love that intergener. Why? Because it creates a space for education. Really wise people are with really young people. These people have a little time while mom and dad work like crazy, right? And so it's this beautiful thing. But we have to remember that the family is the primary educator. Even if you go to school, sure, you go to school, right? But if you go to school, that doesn't mean that there's no way out of that. The family really is that's where you live, that's where you breathe, that's where, everybody thinks whatever they experienced when they were young is normal, right? If you grew up super rich and you ate on golden plates, you just think that's normal. You just think everyone has golden plates. Or if you're like me and you grew up super poor, and it was the tiny trailer that leaked, and you just thought that was, I didn't, it's funny, like when you grow up poor, you don't know you're poor until you're like older. And then you hear other people telling stories of their childhood and you're like, oh wow, that's really nice. No, we didn't have that. And you're like older and you're like, oh wow. But when you're young, you don't know you're poor. You just think that's what everyone does. Right. And so, at Apogee, we try to give them the experience, give them the taste of life, give them, we have 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds starting businesses. Why? To give them a taste so they can understand what that is, so they can understand the fun of it and the freedom of it, but also the responsibility of it. My son has a 3D printing business, but he had to buy his own machine. He has to buy his own filament. He has to work his costs. Like when he's making his price, well, how much does it really cost? And he figures all that out. And my son at 11 the other day told me, Dad, I really want a business that makes profit, not just revenue. I want a business that makes profit. And I laughed and I said, Liam, when I had to learn that lesson by failing a business at 40. At 40 years old, I crashed my first business because I didn't understand profit versus revenue. And here he is 11 telling me, hey, it's really about profit, Dad, not about revenue, right? How cool is that?
Actually, first of all, what I want to say here, what you said, it's actually very kind of mind blowing for me when you said why do we learn knowledge when in fact knowledge is we're in the information age right now. Information, or actually, why do we study information when in fact right now information is all around us, like what you said with the calculator. I mean, right? I mean, I I think there should really be like an updating in what is being taught, because these systems in schools before, I mean, before we don't have like this smartphones, calculators, computers, but now that we have it, there should definitely be a change. And then now, in how I understand how you're changing like the system, I kind of like have three takeaways. First, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, um, what uh, what the person should be learning should be aligned to his or her interest, right? So, I think that's the first one, right? He or she
Yeah.
should be
And
interested.
what if Johnny were all geniuses? What if what if the reason that people go to school and they think they're dumb is because there's a system that only values one thing?
Yeah,
I mean, think
definitely.
about it. Like, have you ever noticed? Like, think about any 3-year-old you've ever met, like a little 3-year-old kid. You can sit with that 3-year-old for about 5 minutes, and you'll be like, "Man, this kid is really special." Like, this kid something, not the same thing for all of them, but you'll be like, "Wow." You notice that every parent thinks their kid is a genius. But then they all go to school, and then everybody knows, "Ah, my kid's not a genius." Turns out, right? But it's because school puts them in this little tiny thing, and it says, "Well, what you" like, I was a kid who tested really well. Like, you could give me a test about rocket science, and I didn't know anything about it, but there was just something about tests, I would just do well, right? So because I tested well, what did they tell me? "Oh, you're a genius." It wasn't really true. Like, my brother struggled in school, struggled. I mean, he struggled in school, right? Guess who's a better entrepreneur as far as, like, making money and having a stable life with his family?
Mm,
Him. I did
yeah.
better with books, but he did better with life, right? So which the thing is, when we go to school, what are we studying for? Like, school makes this game of, like, be good at school, and we assume if you're good at school, you're good at life. But look around, it's not like that. Like, so why not get good at life? So at Apogee, we say, "Hey, let's get them good at life," because guess what? When they're done with school, where are they going? Life.
It's actually like that comic where like um different animals like they're being ranked on how they are good at climbing, but there's a fish who can climb, so basically he's dumped on that school. So it's simply like this. Basically, this our school system is shaping us, teaching us to be employees, not to be entrepreneurs, something like that. So we're being judged. We're being um
Yeah.
the most genius is the one who's most employee. Something like, I mean, not to mean it in a total.
Yeah, no, but think about someone like Albert Einstein, right? Who
Yeah.
reimagines the entire world, right? And he's a kid in school, and in school they're telling you, "Hey, light is a particle." And then he has the thought, "Well, maybe it's a wave and a particle," which is at the time is crazy, right? This is a crazy idea, but guess what? He was right and the whole world was wrong. But what would school say? School would say, "No, you get an F because actually it's this." Right? And so what we see is that different people have different genius. And when we get into life, so when we get into real life, it's easy, right? Because you're great at the podcast game, so that's what you play. I'm great at the coaching game, so that's what I play. Right? It's fine when we get into real life. But in school, there's this weird thing where like everybody's either dumb or smart. And I don't really think it's true. Like it's this other game. And notice that schools start to look more and more, at least in America, I'm not sure as much in the Philippines, but schools start to look more and more like prisons instead of like schools. Why? Because schools and prisons are two of the only places where we're trying to force a human to come out a certain way. Like we're trying to
Mm.
control a human to be a certain way, right? And I don't think it's negative in schools. Like I think we have a good intention, but still, it's this weird control thing. The other thing, and I want to say this about Apogee Strong that's different, is we think that education never stops. So the reason I'm a coach, like I'm a life coach who came into Apogee is because we also have programs for parents. So
Mhm.
parents go through programs also because, we don't think of it. I'm 50 years old, so I guess I'm in the 45th grade, right? It's why would we stop learning? Why would we stop valuing education as we get older? So we also have ways to educate parents, grandparents and the whole family.
Mm. Yeah, if I may just add to that, actually the second, I mean, the second takeaway that I got, when you explain what you're kind of changing, yeah, basically it's not uh in this. like in how you want to change the education system. It's not about just giving the answer. It's about solving. It's about solving the answer. And then actually, but method takeaway is actually experiencing that solving that problem and finding that answer. So it's like the whole we're actually relearning how to learn and how to do things. But now actually I'm curious, how do you have schools or you have like a coaching program? Like how do students who want to learn more about life I mean or like about the real education, I mean how does it happen? How does it happen? Maybe in America and maybe
Sure.
how you want it to happen in the Philippines.
Yeah, sure. So we have micro schools, right? Because we put children in single classroom schools, or it might not be one classroom, but small schools with 25 to 100 students. Like we max out at 100. Past 100, it's really too much, which is how people used to learn forever and ever. We used to be in small tribes, 75 to 100 people. Kids can really do that. We put older kids with younger kids. They might be doing the same project, but of course, a 14-year-old kid building, a toy car, building a model car, and a 9-year-old kid building a model car, they're going to have different models, right? But what's cool about that is it lets the older kids help the younger kids, which is huge. I mean, that's a huge part of
Mm,
life and a huge part of education. And so it creates these really tight knit communities. We also give the kids unstructured playtime, like unstructured time to just do what they want. Like, hey, you can go outside, you can go work out. We have a baseball field or whatever, depending on the school. We give the kids unstructured time together to learn how to be social. We every day will have conversations like strong conversations with our kids where we say, "Hey, here's a topic. Half of you guys, let's say the topic is I'm trying to think of something, but it doesn't really matter. Should we charge for trash collection, right? Should we charge or should that be free from the government? I mean, and we'll put half the class, hey, you guys have to prove that it should be free, and you guys have to prove that it should charge. And we're gonna have a civil discourse. We're gonna have a civil conversation about this. We're gonna disagree, and we're gonna disagree. We're gonna really try to win like our side of the argument. And then at the end, we're all gonna be friends. Like it's okay if we disagree. So we teach the kids how to disagree. We teach the
and that's
kids
a very
how to
important thing to learn.
uh,
Um, that even though
yes.
you disagree, you're actually still friends or something. You're not enemies if you disagree.
Yeah, and I think that's been the social media era has made it so, like,
Oh,
if you don't agree with me,
you're enemies.
then I should just unfollow you and pretend like you don't exist. I mean, come
Oh my god,
on.
very true, Kevin. Oh my god. I mean, I don't want to be political, but I mean, I'm not sure if in America, but I think it's happening in the whole world. Like, maybe in America, like the Republicans, Democrats, you cannot be friends if you're one of the other. But
Uh,
in it could be I mean, we could think actually differently on that.
well, no, so this is one thing I love about Louisiana, and I think it's very similar in the Philippines for different reasons. But like, yeah, you and me, we might disagree politically, and we might like really think like, no, Democrat or Republican, right? But when the hurricane comes and our houses flood, guess what? We're best friends, like right, like really quick. When the hurricane comes, we suddenly don't care so much about politics. Like it's not like I'm picking who I'm going to help. We all help one another. We come together, and I love that about my culture. And I know that that exists in yours too. And
I'm
but
not
what's
sure.
happened yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Right now, who knows, right? There might be, "Oh, that's not a Republican house, we're not gonna help." Come on. I mean, it's but it's getting that way because why? Because of the way that we polarize and we've forgotten how to get along. There was a day, it used to be in America that actually whoever got 2nd place for president was the vice president. So, like,
Mhm.
think about how crazy that is. It means there's the president, and then someone from a whole different party would be vice
Yeah.
president. And we managed that. We got along with it. I mean, that's great. Like, we've got to be able to come back around to that because if we have to agree on everything, we're just all gonna be enemies all the time. Why does that happen? Because that's what gets attention in social media headlines. We love drama and we love tension. We love a fight, you know?
Now I actually want to ask you, how do you see this happening in the Philippines? I personally think it can happen. I think there are some schools, not totally. I mean, of course, not totally same as with like what Apogee is doing, but there are some how do you call this, like self like they self teach, like the parents teach
Mhm.
their own children, or like there are small schools that they have a different system. So, and by the way, how do you see it operating as a business? Like, they enroll, right? The students still enroll to the school.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So two
how is that?
questions. How do
Okay.
I see it happening in the Philippines? How do I see it operating as a business? I can answer both.
Okay.
I'll do it separately though. So how do I see it operating as a business? Super simple. Like someone decides, hey, we're going to do this, and then they decide what tuition should be. And then they get 25 people. It's just
Wow.
like any other startup, And people will pay. Why? I pay money for my son to go to school every month. There's a free school. The public free school for my child is across the street from my house. I'm not even kidding. Like it is. I can throw a ball and hit the school. No kidding. But instead, we drive him 20 something minutes away, or 30 minutes away, and we pay, right? For us, it's $750 a month, right? For this particular school. Why? Because it's worth it to us to have, like, because this is shaping his mind to be a free, responsible, powerful person, you know? And so that's worth it to us. Like that is worth it. So the price, what the actual price is, doesn't matter. Okay. Like it really doesn't. It matters. Like you got to make enough to make the school make sense, to have it work for you. And people are willing to pay because it works. Because when you see your kid, my kid is he's a different kid now than he was in public school. I have 4 older kids. They all went to public school. I went to public school. It's not like I have a beef against public school, but the world is changing. When I went to public school, it did kind of prepare you. The world has changed so much that what they're doing there now is not preparing the kids. And again, I think there's a lot of people who really want to help. Now, how can this work in the Philippines? Here's what's cool about it. Okay. It doesn't require a lot of money. Why? Because this is the way children were raised and educated forever. Like, if you really want to go all the way back to cavemen, this is how kids learned. How did kids learn? They got into a small group with someone watching them and they started to give them experiences. Hey, this is how you cook. This is how you plow. This is how you clean this thing. This is how
How you
you,
pay taxes.
yeah. this is this is how you husk a mango. Like this is how you peel a mango. They had experiences, right? Usually with an older relative, while everyone else did something more dangerous. But it's a return to what has always been. It's actually not a new idea. It is a return to how we have always been educated forever. And it doesn't take a lot of resources. It does, the cool thing is between, ChatGPT and the internet, there's not much we don't know. The knowledge being cheap is good for if you want to be an educator. It's very simple to get access to these things. And so when you get a group of kids together, 10, 25, 30 kids, it gets pretty simple to help them learn their next step and learn what's next. We all think because we got brainwashed by school, well, what are the subjects? Right? Like, like and look, entrepreneurs understand this better than anybody else in the world. Right? Is because as an entrepreneur, man, you have to understand accounting, you have to understand marketing, you have to understand sales, you have to understand delivery, you have to understand but they don't come at you as topics. They come at you as I'm trying to sell a hot dog and my customer wants something and I have to figure out how to take money. So yes, do I need to know accounting? But not really. What I really need to know is how do I take their money and how do I keep my money? Right. And so we've lost the practical application. Entrepreneurs get this right away because, which is the most important subject in entrepreneur? Well, all of them. Right. I mean,
Although now that I think about it, isn't the current education system designed for like mass, like scaling, like mass knowledge transfer actually, and like the assembly line, right?
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
that's what it is. I mean, it was, at least in America, I can't speak to the Philippine system because I don't know exactly. So, but at least in America, it was literally and very deliberately created to push out really good employees, but who were great employees, but who would not compete. People who could obey, people who could see a list of things that they were told to do and then do those things. And when you think about that, again, in a factory of 1,000, 2,000 workers, that's very important. I'm not even going to say there was probably a time in history when we really needed that. I'll even go ahead and say that, But if you think about what that does to a person and look at it, look at the college graduates, people coming out of university who just want their job. Where's my job? I did all the things. Where's my job? And then they come to me to work, and what do I say? Yo, you have to be able to take the project to the end. Like, okay, cool. You did the 10 things we thought the project was, but it turns out there was 2 things we didn't know about. Well, it wasn't on the list. Well, yeah, but the customer needs it. It's like, so So the real value in life is being able to have an idea and then deliver that idea, finish, right? No one pays you for starting. Everyone pays you to finish. If you're an entrepreneur, you get paid to finish. Now they might pay you up front, but they'll never pay you again if you don't finish. They're happy you started, but no one pays you to start. Everyone pays you to finish.
Trust the digital future with Twala. Secure and tamper-proof digital signature. Electronic notarization service. And custom AI agents for intelligent document workflows. Visit twala.io to learn more. In today's digital world, your organization needs more than just technology. It needs a strategic partner. At Symph, we build web and mobile apps that drive innovation for startups, enterprises, and organizations worldwide. Visit symph.co today.
Protect your assets from bugs before bad hackers exploit them. And launch your products seamlessly with Secuna, your trusted partner in cybersecurity. Receive reports in real time and work with security experts to find bugs in your products before others do. Let's make your security our priority.
I actually want to ask you about like your origins. Like, I mean, more about your origins. How this thoughts. How did you? Because this is very new. So how did your mind change somehow? But first, like just to see it happening. For example, in the Philippines, do you see like the children like as young as 5 years old, 8 years old, and as old as like maybe 40, 50? I mean, how and maybe like in communities in
A neighborhood school with kids, it usually works best. You can start it at the high school level. The problem with this, though, the problem with starting it at the high school level is these kids have been in regular school for so long that they have a hard time now when you take the structure away. So because they've been in structure for so long, so if you've been in a structured classroom for 10 years, and then I give you freedom, you actually are going to have problems because you don't know how to focus without the desk, without the book, without the test, right? What's crazy is younger kids, like 4 or 5 years old, they don't need the test. They're just curious. They
Yeah.
just want to learn. And if we just let them learn about what they want to learn about, it's amazing what happens, right? Like it all of a sudden they'll take to it. So in a community, it works really best if we start at the smaller, like elementary level. So like say, anywhere from 4 to 8 years old. And then as those kids age up, the school can expand to higher ages. And then by the time they're in high school, you have a real community of people who have done this project-based learning. And it doesn't have to be big. It can happen at the level of 5 or 10 kids in a homeschool co-op for $0. It doesn't have to be for profit. It doesn't have to be, it can
Nice.
be, but it works really, really well.
And even the
Again,
municipal sector, right?
it's how we were educated forever. Like the experiment is not this, because you said something, you said, well, this is brand new. It's actually not. Like the experiment has been the last 150 years of compulsory school systems. That's been the experiment. For the entire chain of human history before the Industrial Revolution, we didn't have schools. We had small, like one single classroom schools, community schools, where people learned what? They learned the things that made them successful for their community, right? I mean, like if you live in South Louisiana, you could learn trigonometry or you could learn how to fish. And which one do you think would make you a more successful person in South Louisiana? I mean, fishing, like there's lots of fishing. There's great money for bringing fish in. Trigonometry. Okay, if you're going to be an engineer, great. But if you're not going to be an engineer, what the hell's the point? And the school system does a whole lot of like, we're going to teach you this just in case. Well, why just in case? Well, I don't, as an adult, I never learned anything just in case. As an adult right now, I'm not learning tap dance just in case I need it one day. Now, if for some reason I decided to do a tap dance competition, okay, I would go learn tap dance, right? But in adult life, we learn just in time, and as entrepreneurs, we do that, right? When do you learn accounting? Well, the first time you run out of money. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that again. How do I start projecting, right? When do you learn delivery? Well, the first time someone gives you an order. You're like, hey, I could clean your house for money, and then they give you the money. You're like, oh crap, and then you go learn how to do it, right? It's just you learn it just in time when you need it, and not just in case one day you'll need it.
Hmm. And you've been to Venice in America, right? I mean, there are currently like this is happening in America. Like, I mean, I'm just curious how is it happening right now in your experience?
It's happening all over. So this is really, and we
All
are
over.
Apogee Strong is a way to do this. There's many ways to do this. We're not the only solution, right? Apogee is one of many schools that are really returning to this. We're seeing it all over the place. Homeschool is getting more and more popular. Different co-ops and things are getting more popular. We're getting more and more popular. We're seeing this because it just is a better answer. It again, if you school doesn't actually prepare you for life right now, and you can see that really clearly. Look at the people who are coming out in America, at least. I don't know how it is in the Philippines, but in America, they're coming out with, $150,000 of debt, and the average job they're getting pays them 30,000 a year. I mean, that's crazy. If they put every dollar they made towards their debt, it would take them 6 years to pay it off. If they just didn't eat and didn't sleep, and that's crazy. That's insane. So the school system is not preparing them for life. And our thing is we want great humans who are prepared for life and who have a great moral compass, right? A great code that they live by that lets them function well in the world. We're not so worried about what are the criteria that they meet as much as can they be successful at life.
And this is actually also like a movement because I mean it's happening all around because it's what the people want. I mean it is what I mean I think many people want this to happen. They just don't know how. There's just no identity. There's just no brand, no system. But once you started Apogee Strong, many people realize that oh we want the change in the education system and then it happens all around. So maybe in the Philippines it can happen like that. Like I think many Filipinos have that have I mean I think a lot actually want to change the system because yeah it's very memorization very very rigid but if someone does that with a brand with an identity with a system I think it can just happen anywhere although there's still one thing I mean based in the Philippines there's still a big people still put a lot of importance to diplomas to graduation because that's how you get out of poverty I mean that
Sure.
is
So yeah. So here's the fun part, right? Again, same thing here. Same thing here. Because for a long time, when you get this diploma, then that means you can earn. But that isn't actually true right now, right? Like I have 10 employees. I don't know. Some of them have diplomas, some of them don't. I honestly don't care. Why? Because when I hire someone, I say, hey, you have 1 week. We do the same thing. So when we hire for our staff, if we need one person, we hire 3 people for 1 week. And we tell them it's not like we're like, hey, we want you to do a 1 week trial.
Mm,
We give all 3 people the same project, right? So obviously this isn't something we need. We all of our new employees get the same project, right? And then we see can they finish it. We know it takes about a week. We know how much time. We don't give them any direction. I mean, if they ask questions, we help them, but then we see who can get it done. And I mean, one of my employees, my executive assistant right now, who I love, who's an incredible employee, incredible get things done person, Bernadette, she's the person who recommended your podcast to me.
shout out.
I don't know that she has some kind of higher diploma, but what I do know is when we hand her projects, she gets them done. And when she doesn't know what to do, she figures it out or she asks or she finds something online to have her do it. What is that? That's education. She doesn't have a piece of paper that says she's smart. She's actually producing results. Right. And
Mhm.
I do think wherever you are, this is changing. I understand the cultural. We have the same thing. The cultural, like, well, if it's we used to call it Yale or jail. You either go to college or you're going to jail. It's like Yale or jail. Like you either have a diploma or you're going to be poor. I just don't know that that's true anymore. I really don't. I think that AI is going to level that playing field in a way that is blowing people away.
Mm,
The tractor changed farming, right? And the tractor changed farming forever.
mm.
Nobody wants to go back. Like nobody wants to go back. AI is like the tractor for knowledge,
Oh,
right? And
that's
what's funny is like the world doesn't like it because now the rich people might lose their jobs. When the poor people lost their jobs, that was fine. Like, oh, well, farmers, who cares about farmers? You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But now, like now, man, who like this is the tractor of the mind. And there
oh,
will be those who don't like it. And there were those who didn't like the tractor. I mean, there were. But but ultimately it's not going to go away because it works, right? And we can adapt to it and move forward.
interesting. Yeah, let's do some shout outs first. I'm actually surprised there are a number of people watching at this hour in the Philippines. I think these are Filipinos. Maybe these are from your community.
They might be from
Shout outs.
hey guys. Love
Main
you.
dapat.
Yeah,
Main
yeah,
dapat.
definitely.
Bernadette Villafuerte, Zini, Rafael,
Yep,
Monica Maglapas, Marika Alinsub, Shianri Moreno. Are they
yep.
from your
Every
team?
single one of them is from my team.
Oh,
I
wow.
love you guys.
Shoutouts. Anyway, so that's the next part of this podcast. I want to ask again two questions. First, what was the first? I mean, how did it start? Like that simple because if you're born in America, if you're born to like the same community, and then how did that spark happen in your mind? And then second question, how did you get again into the Philippines? How did you form your team? Are you working here?
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's two different answers.
yeah, yeah.
So one, how did this Apogee thing start? Matt Bodro, who founded Apogee Strong, he's the CEO.
Mm,
Was an educator, and he worked at Stanford, and he he decided he was going to help the education system from the inside. So he went and was a teacher. He said, "Oh, it's not. I can't really make change happen as a teacher." So then he became an administrator, and then he realized as an administrator he was even more trapped. Like as an administrator, he could actually do less than he could as a teacher, right? And it came time for his kids to go to school, and he just wouldn't do it. He just said, s- knowing what the system is, do I want my kids to have to go through it? Because if I teach them to be employees, then I'm going to have to unteach them. And this is what happened to my oldest four kids, amazing kids. They did great in school. I'm not sad that I sent them to public school, but if you look at it, we have to unteach them. Yes, they learned school, but then now we have to unteach them school to be good at life. And they've done that really well so far. But that's kind of a lot of extra effort for no reason. With my youngest, Liam, we're not having to unteach him. We're just teaching him life. Right, and Matt had that epiphany. I came on, to run the adult program, so to do the coaching for the parents and everything, and we shot a documentary. So there's a documentary that if you look up Apogee Strong documentary, you'll find it. Um, when we shot the documentary, I was very brand new at Apogee. I said, "Hey, Matt, look, we're doing this. I just want to be full disclosure. My oldest four kids did really great in public school. My youngest kid is in public school. I don't plan to take him out. And if in order to work with you, I have to take my kid out of school, like I just want you to know, I'm probably not going to do that. So we should just probably have that conversation." And he was cool. Matt was like, "Hey, no, 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 no. Everybody's on their own journey. It's not about forcing you. Whatever. What matters is what works for your family. Not, ultimately, we're not about forcing someone to do something, right?" Very cool. The next 48 hours, right? We filmed for about 24 of those hours the documentary, and I just heard expert after expert after expert talking about the public school system. And Matt had told me, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And when I saw it, it was so funny because we finished the filming. The documentary didn't come out for months and months after, but after the filming that day, I called my wife and I said, "We need to pull Liam out of school right now."
oh my god,
And
yeah.
she said, "Have you thought this through?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." But I see it now. I see what it's doing. It's going to make him follow, and it's going to make him follow when it doesn't serve him. I'm okay. Look, every leader has to follow. If you think you're a leader because you never follow, you're an idiot. Like that's not true. If you're a true leader, you can also follow. Okay, period. You know when to follow. But I want him to know when to follow, and I know when that serves him and when it doesn't. And he'll never learn that there. So at that point, we didn't pull him right away. We let him finish that school year, and then we pulled him from school. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like once you realize the game, you're like, "Oh my gosh, it's all control. Like this is all control." And I don't want that I don't want him to have to unlearn it. I unlearned it, right? Most entrepreneurs unlearn it because you very quickly realize that the books about how to do something are usually full of crap. Like they're usually written by someone who never did it. So very quickly you're like, you have to make your own solution. And then you start realizing, oh, if I make my own solution, this works. You know, I'm very tall, so I can do things tall people can do. Right. And if I go into life and I try to act like I'm short, like I can think that I'm a bad short person forever. Like, oh man, I'm just terrible at the bottom shelf. But why wouldn't I focus on the top shelf? And as an entrepreneur, you can do that. You can play to your strength, In school, though, you can't. You got to play. You got to play the same game. So that is the one thing. Is
If I may
how
just ask,
Apogee. Please.
how did your children react? How did your
So at first, I think they thought we were a little crazy. My older kids, so I have kids that are from 25 down to 19, and then we have Liam who's 11. I think the first year they thought we were a little crazy. I thought it was. I mean, frankly, I thought it was a little crazy because it just seemed like, oh my gosh, like how? Because here's the thing: standardized tests are bullcrap. Like standardized tests don't work. The man who invented the standardized tests. So when America first said, okay, we're going to put everyone in school, we're going to have compulsory school, everyone has to go to school. They needed a way to figure out what grade everyone should be in. Okay. So the standardized test was really good for that. Like it was really like, okay, hey, here's where people are and here's what grade they should go in. The man who invented the standardized test, and you can look this up, was later thrown out of his university because he refused to administer standardized tests because he said, hey, it was really good for showing what grade people should be in, but it's really terrible to decide to use this to see how smart someone is. It doesn't actually measure how smart someone is. It just tells you kind of where they are about a specific subject. And so the man who invented the standardized test refused to administer them at his own school. Like when I heard that, and some of you right now are hearing that and thinking that's crazy, that can't be true. Go look it up. And there it is, right? So once you start seeing those things, you realize, man, because that's the hard thing about Liam is like, well, how do I know if he's smart or not? But that's kind of like the stupidest thing ever. Like, well, I don't know. Like, what is he doing? What is he producing? Like, look at his life. Like, does it matter? Like, if you have an IQ of 200 or if you have an IQ of 10, if you're a great person and you're able to do things in life and you love it, does that really matter? I don't know. I mean, maybe it does, and that's fine. Now, how did I come to the Philippines? I've had remote VAs since the year 2000, I think 2001. It was really easy to do more with Indian VAs at the very beginning, and I don't remember how I found my first Filipino VA, but shout out to her. When we connected, there was just such a cultural link. Like I just found that the way the culture works and the way people think and the way they love is very similar to my world in Louisiana. And so I just kind of fell in love with like, man, when I hire someone from the Philippines, we just get along right away. We understand each other more or less right away. And we value the same things. And when they disappear for 3 days because of a typhoon, I'm really worried about them. And I know what that's like because I have had my house flooded by a hurricane. So like I understand what's real and what's not. And I understand and so there's just always been an affinity there, and I've always wanted to build a team there. And thanks to Jokabab, COO here, we're doing that, and we're doing it really, really well. And we have a team distributed kind of all over the Philippines right now, anywhere from Quezon City down to down to Mindanao, all over,
Wow.
really all
I'm
over.
just curious. What work do they actually do? I mean, and by the way, VA for those listening, VAs are virtual assistants, right? So I'm just curious, what work do they do?
So yeah, and that world is changing really rapidly right now, right? Like thanks to AI, if all you do is do something someone tells you, you're going to be out of a job really, really soon. Right now, what we're doing with all of the people who work with us is, we have a designer, we have a programmer, we have someone who focuses on back end systems. We have CRM specialists, we have business automation specialists, and so the work we do is to run the back end of the business, like of Apogee. Apogee has hundreds of schools that it supports and thousands of parents that it supports, and we do all the back end work. We get the support tickets. We get the crazy question of like, hey, how do I do this or that? Great. So the team can handle all of that, and we're having them use AI tools to make them more powerful. Like if you're a VA and all you do is just fill out spreadsheets for your employer, you're in trouble. Like you're in trouble because AI does that better than anybody. It does it better than me. It does it better than you. Like it's just. But if you're a VA or a remote worker who knows how to leverage AI, if AI is your tool, awesome. And think of it again, AI is the tractor of the mind, right? If you're a farmer and you're using a shovel and the tractor is coming behind you, the answer is not shovel faster. The answer is learn to use the tractor or get a tractor, right? Like, and so it's the same thing here, right? If you're a knowledge worker, if you're working in graphic design right now, I'll just tell you, We just had a big meeting with our designer, who's an amazing person. It's like, hey, we have to do this all through the AI tools now. Like graphic design and web design, man, you need to have an eye for it. But if you're not using AI, you're going to have a big problem keeping up. It's got to be the human plus the AI. That's the winning combination for now. Hopefully, we still have jobs. I mean, maybe eventually none of us will have jobs, but because
You know,
AI makes better looking podcast hosts too, right, Johnny? I mean, it's sad, but it's true.
I may disagree now. Anyway, actually, that's actually kind of amazing. Like Apogee as an unstructured somehow school all around, and then the people working for its backend are also all around remote workers. So wow, that concept, that machinery, that system is actually very kind of cool to hear. Um. Anyway, now I want to ask Kevin two questions. I usually ask this to startups or companies who have kind of flourished. Number one, what's the most successful thing you or Apogee has achieved, like the greatest milestone? And second, what has been the most challenging or the biggest challenge that Apogee has faced?
Yeah. So, man, the most successful thing we've done is we have over 150 schools founded, helping thousands of children and families to be free, to be educated and free, which also means educated and responsible, right? Because you don't get freedom without responsibility. But I remember 3 years ago when there was only one school, thinking, I wonder if we could do this twice, and now there's over 150, and
So in
I
just
think
3 years, you went to 150.
yeah, it's
Wow.
growing really quickly. Yeah, it's growing really quickly. And so that's been our great success and the success is not monetary, although yeah, sure, there was money that came in for that, but it's just the idea, like I'm looking at if it's just me answering and I'm not answering right now, I'll just be selfish and just say my son, looking at my son and the way that he handles himself and the way that he carries himself and the way that he's ready for life at 11 in a way that I wasn't ready at 21. That to me is and I know there are many of him all over the world, in Australia and Canada, US, that have come from this Apogee system. That's our greatest success. It's the lives of those kids. You can go meet those kids. You can walk into any Apogee school and meet those kids, and you'll say the same thing that most other parents say is like, whoa, every kid there will make eye contact with you. Every kid there will talk and have an intelligent conversation with you. And every kid there thinks that they matter, that they are a leader. They're not
Mm.
we don't call them students, we call them leaders. Right? Hey,
Mm.
you're a leader, and that matters because they realize, oh, I'm learning to lead. I'm not just learning to follow. I need to lead. Now look, like I said, great leaders follow also. But yeah, I think that's it. And the biggest challenge, I mean, the biggest challenge really is the mindset. Like, because we had 3 generations in the school system, really more than that now. And so breaking the mindset that without standardized tests and without the traditional system, you can't be smart. And that's silly. I mean, you go back 300 years to a rice field, right? And give that guy a test on algebra, and you'll think he's the dumbest person in the world. But you know what he knows how to do? Make rice that keeps his family alive all year. Or if you go back to a fishing village 200 years ago, yeah, that guy is horrible at accounting, or that guy is horrible at history. But you know what he can do? Catch fish to support his family and his whole community. And like, it's somehow, I don't know where we flip the script to say, well, what you know about a book is more valuable than what you can actually do.
I think it's because of the Industrial Revolution. I'm not sure because I mean,
Yeah,
and like I'm just thinking. I mean, do this in an Asian country. I mean, Asian meaning like the East Asian, China,
sure.
Taiwan, Korea. It's very hard to do. I think because they're. I mean, they have the most very academic or very structured. I mean, like those countries, right? Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan. They have the most standardized schooling system. But anyway,
But
um,
no, but look where they came from, right?
yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
the only culture, like Japan is the only culture that went from medieval lords straight to the Industrial Revolution, right? There was no like, it was like whatever house you served as a servant or a samurai, now was the company name, right? It was Honda. The Honda was the Lord that you served, and then Honda was now the company that you served that made cars or motorbikes or whatever, right? And so again, why would the traditional school system work well there? Well, it's about regiment, it's about obedience, it's about following the lead. And I'm also not saying, so please hear this too. I'm also not saying that Apogee is chaos. We're
Mm,
also not saying, oh, well, you shouldn't follow anyone. No, but you should consciously choose who you follow. And you should consciously decide what you want your life to be. Right. And that is that. Again, it's not about not following, it's about following intentionally.
mm. About the adult or the coaching program for adults, like because Apogee also has, you also do this for adults, and I think you're the one, Coach Kevin, who does this, right? So I'm just curious, how do you do that? And like, for example, me, for example, I want
Yeah.
to enroll, I want to be coached. How do you do that, and how do you change my mind?
Yeah. Well, first, I don't change your mind, you do, right?
Okay.
And if you want to grow, we can help you to grow. Here's the thing, in the adult program, in Apogee Man or Apogee Woman programs, what it's all about is giving you experiences that will open your mind to different ways of operating.
Mm,
Giving you experiences that say, hey, maybe life isn't this big thing, these big list of things that happen to you. Maybe you're happening to life also. What if you're not a victim? What if you're a creator? Right? Like you, Johnny, are a force of nature. Like you are. Like even though you're like, oh, I just do podcasts. No, but hey, that's a big thing right now, right? I'm a little jealous actually. Like I love what you're doing. Like you're getting ideas out there. You're saying, hey, let's do something different. Let's help people who start up. Like entrepreneurs are the coolest people. We're like depressed in the morning. We're super happy in the afternoon. Like in the morning, we're going to go out of business. By noon, we're going to make $1 billion. And then at 4 p.m., we're like, well, I made it till tomorrow. And that's just who we are. And you're serving them, right? But you're a force of nature. So am I. Now, you're not the only force of nature. I'm not the only one. There's lots of forces around me and there's lots of other people. But man, if we can tune you to what can you create instead of trying to survive as a victim, your whole life opens up. And that's what this is all about. And life is not happening to you. You are happening to life, right? And when you start to see that, life gets way better and you start to actually take action. You start to actually build something on purpose. And that's the game for adults, right?
Education is evolving, and so are we. Introducing School Tech by Edfolio, your all-in-one school management solution. Built for schools of all sizes, School Tech bridges the gap between school and learning management. Driven by passion, School Tech makes educational technology accessible, affordable, and easy to use for schools everywhere. With an integrated approach, School Tech simplifies management across different departments and enhances efficiency in operations. School Tech transforms the way schools manage, teach, and learn. School Tech, taking school management solutions to the next level.
Running a business? Make it smarter with Red Circle Global. Streamline operations, boost productivity, and manage everything in one powerful ERP system. Book your free business demo today at redcircleglobal.com, guided by one of our top experts.
I love this. Um, yeah. Now, I actually, do you know, Kevin? We've been talking for around an hour already, so I think it's time to start wrapping this up. But anyway, for to end this
Yeah, we have to wrap it up because all my employees are watching. They got to get back to work. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, I mean, I actually want this. I want this to see. I want to see this in the Philippines. So, what's your vision maybe in doing this in the Philippines? And do you really want to do it in the Philippines? And
So,
how do you see?
yes, absolutely. I think it would be awesome in the Philippines. Absolutely. I think it would be really cool too, because the Philippines is such an interesting mix of cultures, right? There was a vibrant Filipino culture. Then the Spanish came in, then the Americans, the Japanese, and the Americans. Like there's been this really interesting mix of cultures. And
Wow, you
I
know
think
those.
well, yeah, and this could be instrumental in bringing back that I don't know how to explain it, but that Filipino creation that is Filipino, it's still there. It's vibrant. Like when you're there, you can feel it, but you can also tell that it's been stepped on for a long time, right? For a long time, if you're someone who picked your head up, somebody cut it, right? And you see this like in the culture. I think this could really help that bring about. Like, well, I in my with my employees, like we were talking, and I'm like, wow, they constantly were kind of like putting down on themselves, or, oh, we're too this or we're too that. I'm like, no, you guys have a vibrant, beautiful culture. Like, what's wrong with it? Like, I'm from Louisiana, right? All the dumb people down in the swamp. That's, I'm from the backwards culture in America. We love it. We aren't dumb people down in the swamp. We're people who know how to love. We're people who know how to cook. We're people who know how to take care of ourselves. And yeah, we're poorer than you. So what? Like, we understand that there's way more to life than just money also. And that's not a bad thing. That's a really good thing. And I think for the Philippines, what it would take is just the right partners. Like, honestly, just it all starts with someone who says, "Pick me. I want to try to make this happen," and then we work together. That's
Mm.
it. Like, it all starts with pick me and who will stand up and lead. And because that's how this started. That's how every one of our schools started. Every school that we have is not ours. We don't own it. Every one of our schools is a partner. It's an affiliate who
Ah,
says, "I'm going to do this," and then we teach them. So every school is independently owned. They're
ah,
their own business. So if I say
wow.
there's 150 schools, there's 150 new businesses that have their own thing. And if tomorrow we
Oh.
die and disappear, guess what? They'll still be doing it. They'll still
Wow.
be educated.
It's like a franchise, but it's a weird set of a franchise. It's
So it's not a franchise because we don't dictate what it has to be.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what's
yeah,
really cool. That's
yeah.
why I think this could really work. Like in the Philippines, is that there's a certain set of standards, and then we allow that to go to any culture.
Yes.
So how does this set of standards work in your culture? And then you make it happen.
And they can run it as a business by themselves. I mean, they
hundred
um,
percent. They have
um,
to. Because if we owned it all and we told them what to do, you know what we have just made?
yeah,
The same
yeah, yeah,
system we're trying
yeah.
to defeat.
Yes. Wow, wow. Uh, we call this the best. I mean, I call this like the best organization is no organization. Like the system is there, but there's no structure. It just happens because people want it to happen. They have their own motivations. They want Apogee to happen in their place. It happens. We just need, you're correct, the people who will stand up, who will say, pick me, or actually those people who are the forces of nature. Anyway, what I just want to comment on, when you said earlier about the Filipinos being like putting ourselves down. I think it's also like because of the we call this colonial mentality. I think we still have that, and I think
Mhm.
that's the number one thing we have, or most Filipinos have to be coached on, or have to realize. It's just a mental barrier. But when we overcome that, we have what we call Filipino ingenuity, Filipino creativity, and we can actually do a lot of
And
things.
Filipino love, man. You guys get so much right. I really came home to my family after being in the Philippines for 10 days. I came home to my wife and I said, "Man, these guys understand family in a way that we don't. Like, we lost something. When we stopped living in intergenerational homes, we lost something that these guys value." And some of my employees would be like, "Man, that's crazy. Why are you taking care of this person? Why are you doing that?" I wouldn't do that. And then when I got there, I was like, "Oh, that's why. Because this is really awesome. Like, this is something special that you have kept and we didn't." Like, here's the thing. Remember what I said at the very beginning, so we can end on this too. The most powerful weapon for any colonizer is the mind of the colonized. And for the Philippines, from what I see, the colonizers are mostly gone. But
Mm.
that mindset stays, right? Because it's just been there, been there, been there. But hey, you know what? The cool thing is, mindset is that's just something you imagine. You can get out of that. You can step up, right? And it won't be easy. It won't be simple because guess what? My people were downtrodden too. No one cared about my people in Louisiana. No one, my people went from France. They got kicked out of France for religious reasons. They came to Canada to be free. Turned out on the trip to Canada that Canada was no longer French, it was British. They got kicked out of Canada and they ended up in the swamps of Louisiana. Why do you live in the swamp in Louisiana? Because you have nowhere else to go. At least at that time, like most people who went there died, but they founded a thriving, awesome community in this place where most people wouldn't live. Why? Because they had to. No problem. It was a mindset, right? It is a mindset. And at some point, like, we all have this. We have our parents. Our initial colonizers are our parents, all of us, right? Like, our parents tell us what to think and they tell us what to be. And then we have to, as an adult, figure out, well, here's the things I agree about, and here's the things I'm grateful for, and here's the things, yeah, I'm not gonna, I reject these things, and here's what I'm not grateful for. It's just that. It is just that. It's not someone else's fault. Maybe, yeah, sure. Lots of things in history are other people's faults. I get that. Like, I totally get that. And hey, what am I going to do with my life? That's the useful thought. Is where am I going to go? How can I wake up? How can I step up? One of my dear friends in the Philippines, just the other day, Shanri, she was saying she was frustrated that she wanted to start a business, but it was really hard, and shit. And I'm like, you have worked you have worked as an outside contractor for me for 4 years. You have a thriving business. Your family is eating on the business you run. How can you not see what you're already doing? Right. But that's that mentality of like, well, I'm not good enough. But she is good enough. She's been doing it for years. What do you mean I'm successful? You have a successful business. You're trying to start a second one. Cool. That's fine. Second ones are hard. But there's so many things that are great, and there's so many things that are wonderful, and some of them are just different. But that's because you're in a place that's different. Good. That's awesome. Like it would be horrible if everything was like my home or if everything was like your home. So
That's actually
that's just my
yeah,
thing.
that's actually correct. VAs, virtual assistants. I think these VAs are business people. They're not workers or employees. They're actually business people. They
Yeah.
just happen that they work because they have to do what they commit on to their clients, right? So
Yeah,
it's
or nobody pays them, or they just fire them. And especially if you're working for someone in a different country, man, that can be horrible, right? Like we prepay everyone in our team, like we prepay them for 2 weeks because we want them to know they're going to get paid. Because you know how
Mhm.
that goes. You get a new client and then they don't pay you. What are you going to do? Fly to France or to America to get the money? No, you're just gonna. That's a real entrepreneur. I mean, that is absolutely an entrepreneurial endeavor.
Yeah, actually. And yeah, I actually support that. VAs should think more about themselves as entrepreneurs. Speaking about that, let's do our final shout outs. Because I have here, let's do a shout out for Alan Antang. He's actually the editor of the podcast. So shout out. He's listening right now.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin, Coach Kevin, actually, for this very life changing or wow, mind changing conversation. Thank you so much. Actually, no, I mean, to be honest, um, to be honest, this is the first time I've heard about Apogee, but like all the things you said, I've been pondering about those stuff for a while. I'm one of those people who know there has to be a change in the education system, but now that I see it happening, I hope it happens in the Philippines. I hope I see this in the Philippines. So
Me
whoever
too. And anything we can do to help that along, you guys let me know when we're there.
so I hope there's someone listening out there to this episode who's interested to do this. Let's start it. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. By the way, if our listeners want to know more about Apogee or you, Coach Kevin, maybe they want to be coached on, or maybe they want to work with you. Maybe someone out there wants to start an Apogee school here in the Philippines. How do they contact you? How can they know more? Maybe you can lead them to your social media or wherever they can contact you.
Sure. Yeah. So for me personally, just about everywhere, I'm at It's Coach Kevin. So Instagram, Facebook, whatever, at It's Coach Kevin. Same on YouTube. For Apogee, apogeestrong.com. On YouTube, you can search up the Apogee Strong documentary. There's several different ones, and yeah, I'm excited, man.
Actually, I want to watch it. I think I'll watch it later. Now, I watch it now after this after
All
recording.
right.
And by the way, Coach Kevin is just for people to know, Kevin Voisin.
Yeah.
Kevin Kevin and then Voisin. Maybe there's someone who want to search for your name. Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. This had been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, and nice meeting
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Honored to
thank
be
you.
here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to all those who listened to this episode. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our 65 patrons. This episode is super powered by AskLex PH Academy, our official e-learning partner. Get certification on Lean Six Sigma, project management, data science, and more. Architect Space Solutions. Architect provide ground station services, space data analytics, and technology supplies to grow the Philippines' role in the global space ecosystem. Divico Technologies Incorporated. IT solutions specializing in software development, blockchain smart contracts, digital wallets, and cybersecurity. NutriCoach. Personalized nutrition and weight loss programs for you. Argum AI. Make smarter decisions by presenting both sides of an issue as argued by two distinct AI models. Pixel by Implement. Turn content into opportunity, grow deeper connections, and earn more. Only with Pixel. Sign up at pixel.implement.co. School of Profits. Filipino-led community for aspiring freelancers, VAs, agency builders, and online earners, built to help you start, grow, and earn online together. Founders Launchpad, our ecosystem partner, early-stage accelerator providing venture capital funding, operational support, and mentorship.
Hire Business Solutions, provider of the most configurable cloud-based payroll system in the Philippines. Agile Data Solutions, the Philippines' fastest-growing market insights tech company with its data gathering platform, HustlePH. Smile Checks, streamline hiring and onboarding with automated background checks. Cloud CFO, cloud accounting service provider for businesses ready to grow. Cloverly, all-in-one digital platform for property developers. Body Beauties, accessible and personalized diabetes self-management application. HKB Digital Services, tech-based business tools including payroll, ticketing, and loyalty rewards. Hyperstocks, digital banking enabler for rural and thrift banks. Wonderbrand, data science-driven brand strategy and design for emerging markets. This episode is powered by Josie AI, Uplift Code Camp, Board Prep, Kansan Barley, East Point Business Outsourcing Services, Filipina Home-Based Moms, Hex Colony, Jur.ph, Big Giant Games, Pahatid PH, Sugbudok, Agacon Aquafeeds, Juan Alj, Grey Wolf Technologies Philippines, Pareto Consulting, Sirius MD. Support the podcast through the link in the description.